Today on Reddit. What's the thing that always happens in the movies that never happens in real life? If a girl is arguing with you in real life and you kiss her to shut her up, she will most likely not appreciate it. It happens way too much in Pretty Little Liars. 5 bad guys attacking the hero one at a time. In these scenes I enjoy watching the baddies fannying about in the background waiting their turn. They're usually flailing their arms. I watch the same thing. The waiting dance is hilarious. Phone call. Turn on the TV. TV. Exactly the correct station at the beginning of the news story the person called about. One I never see mentioned. Whenever people play something back, be it a tape recorder, video recording, or whatever, they can always fast forward or rewind to exactly the point they want, with perfect accuracy. 5 machine guns somehow missing the protagonist in the room. And then the protagonist shoots 5 bullets from his pistol and gets each of them right through the heart, without aiming. A bunch of students in their late 20s in high school. That joke in Scary Movie is great, because Regina Hall was actually like 27 in that movie, if I recall correctly. All of those hack scenes. How much time do you need to hack their database? If I work non-stop with no breaks, it'd take me at least 3 hours. You have 5 hours? Seconds. Clickety-clack. I'm in. Wipe sweat acquired in 5 seconds from forehead. Phew. Don't forget the shot of his glasses reflecting a bunch of random lines of source code flying by as he's typing. Young professionals or college students living in huge, fully furnished apartments in the city. Fun fact, I read when they were gearing up to shoot The Big Bang Theory they wanted the set to look like how actual grad students lived. So they visited the apartments of a bunch of engineering and sciences graduate students to get a feel for what their apartments looked like. Their real life living conditions were deemed too depressing for a network sitcom, hence why the set for the show is the typical big roomy apartment you see in every other sitcom. I think Broad City is one of the few shows where the characters live like they would actually live in real life. You'll see one of the girls' apartments and the couch is old, ugly, and takes up most of the room of her New York City apartment. Boarding a plane after the gate has closed. No, not even for true love. I'm sure she loves you too, but you're now going to be detained under anti-terrorism laws. Anyone loving any kind of happy morning scenario before school or work? Why does your school not start until noon? Even if school or work did start at noon, I know that I'd be going to bed at 6 AM, still only getting 5 hours of sleep, and barely make it on time for the 12 PM start. Playing video games. Main protagonist is absolutely slamming every single button on the controller, using an Xbox controller on a Nintendo 64 while playing Horizon Dawn. Dreaming of kissing a beautiful woman, but are actually being licked by an animal, or breaking through a window unscathed. I had a professor that taught classes on comics, sci-fi, and pop culture as English classes. We came into class one day to a broken window and his hand wrapped in paper towel. Turns out in his previous class, which was held in the same classroom, while discussing how unrealistic and difficult it is to punch out a window, he attempted to demonstrate by punching one of the classroom windows. Evidently, when the building was getting worked on, some dumbass replaced that window with picture frame glass, which is not nearly as strong as regular window glass, and the professor proceeded to stick his hand through the window. He took it really well, and insisted on teaching our class as well, despite us trying to get him to go to a doctor. Super fun guy. Wish more educators were like him. Edit. Punctuation. Edit 2. Fixed edit 1. Skype streams with 1080p and 120 FPS. There was some war movie that actually got this right. Guy was skyping his wife and kids, and it was all choppy, bad connection and the whole 9 yards. It made me really happy. A person going from drunk to sober in 5 minutes because they drank a cup of black coffee. Alternately, people acting drunk immediately after drinking, or feeling better as soon as they take a pill. In real life you pop them and sit there waiting anxiously for 30 to 60 minutes for them to kick in. Yeah, and also being able to function normally with a hangover. I literally can't even get out of my bed without puking with a hangover. I've never seen anyone apprehend criminals while causing millions and millions in damage to the city. Characters can hear every word of dialogue perfectly in a noisy environment. captain frantically whispering to the private, "I need you to charge that machine gun nest." Private, actually I can't hear you. I'm completely deaf from 3 hours of constant gunfire. Brand new technology being incredibly intuitive for first time users. Seriously, regular characters just walk up to enemy sheet for example and just start manipulating the system. Yeah, because Bill here can even find Task Manager, let alone log into and use some new software at an enemy's base. Fluid, witty and well-rounded dialogue, where the characters never do stuff like pause, mumble, hesitate, miss a reference, have nothing to say, etc. A bounty hunter in one episode of Firefly misheard what Simmons said to him when asked if he was a lion. Thought he said a lion and was like, "Am I a lion? No, I don't think of myself as a lion. Though I do have a mighty roar." And Simmons just stared at him with this WTF face and said, "I said alliance." They had the whole "oh, I thought you said no, right" thing go on, and it was kind of awkward to watch, and at the same time, so nice because no one in films and shows ever seem to mishear each other, unless it's the setup to a joke in a comedy, but never in a serious scene or film. When soldiers die on the battlefield in movies, it's usually a whole ordeal with last words and grunting and the injured soldier slowly becoming lifeless as a buddy holds him in his arms. All the while the battle seemingly lulls off as this one random guy's dying. This just doesn't happen. Usually battlefield deaths are quick and very sudden. A lot of the time the guy hit either isn't noticed until later or is dead before they hit the ground. People that are experts in their highly scientific field are not usually young and hot. It takes a long time to become so highly qualified for nuclear physics and that sort of thing. But no, in movies, it is always someone that looks to be in their mid-20s at the latest. Movies, WTF was that? Don't bother turning lights on. Go look. Real life, my wife hears something, WTF was that? Wake up. Go check. Turns every single light on, locks the bedroom door behind me, has 911 ready to dial, constantly yells for me to give an update, allows me back in the door after triple confirming my identity, using the secret password. Oh, that noise. Dog farted. In movies with any kind of trial scene there's always a dramatic moment where one of the attorneys presents a witness or piece of evidence that completely changes the course of the trial. Something that neither the judge or opposing attorney knew about. Like, sorry buddy, but the discovery deadline was a month ago. Edit from, to submit materials was a week ago. I realize this came off the wrong way. Just saying discovery is more appropriate. Edit, thank you for the silver. Edit, I'm not an attorney. I'm just a legal assistant training to be a paralegal lawyer. But wait, I have one last witness to call to the stand. Courtroom doors magically open, and the defendant's dog, who has apparently been waiting outside for this exact moment, walks into the room. Crowd gasps because they thought the dog was dead. Lawyer, the defendant's dog only wags his tail when his owner has been framed for a crime. Judge, this is highly unusual, but oh well, I suppose I'll allow it. Dog proceeds to wag his tail. Judge bangs gavel aggressively without any input from the jury. That's it. I find the defendant not guilty. Lead actor sits down at bar. Get me a beer. Movie bartender silently gets beer. Real life bartender. What kind of beer? We've got 20 beers on tap and an extensive bottle list. Do you want a menu or something? Edit, purely in the interest of science. I went to my local this evening and asked the bartender if anyone ever comes in and just orders a beer with no other information. He said, yeah, sometimes. I asked him what he does when they do that. I told them that's like walking into a deli and ordering a backwood sandwich. People shrugging off a flesh wound like it's nothing. They even say it's just a flesh wound. The movie Last Action Hero does a good job of mocking this by having Jack Slater incur a flesh wound in the real world, and it's a big deal. But then he goes into the movie world and it's barely a scratch. In fact, Last Action Hero has a lot of examples, like people being able to punch through car windows, or the women working at Blockbuster being way too attractive. Edit, I have been informed that people can punch through car windows just fine, but my point was that, as in Last Action Hero, you'll be injured doing so. Sorry everyone. Carry on. Yeah. I saw this one movie that took place in medieval times and there was a sword fight where a guy lost all 4 limbs and just shrugged it off. Totally unrealistic. Thanks for watching today on Reddit. And as always, stay awesome.